Hello, and welcome back. This is 1.5 Solving Inequalities. The bell problem for today is 12 minus 3 parentheses 2x plus 1 equal to 7x minus 3 parentheses 7 plus x. Take your time, but come up with an answer. You should get x equals some number, so pause this and come back. I'm not going to work through all the steps. Hopefully you can do that, but hopefully you remembered when you have a number out front of your parenthesis, like -3 here, you need to distribute through every single term. Same thing over here. Take your -3 and distribute through every single term. Once you do that, you should get x equals 3. Like I said, this is 1.5 Solving Inequalities. There is 2 parts to this, so make sure you take notes for both. The vocab for today is compound inequality. This is what we'll be talking about more tomorrow. And there are 2 inequalities with the word and or the word or in between them. For example, x greater than 3, less than 3, or x greater than 8. And we'll talk about that more tomorrow. These are some of the ways to write and graph inequalities. We've already talked about less than or greater than. Notice how x is greater than 4. The point is on 4. We shade to the right because it's greater than. 5 is greater than 4, but it's not filled in because it's not equal to 4. Then if you look at the next one, it says it has a little line underneath the inequality symbol, which makes it equal to, so you do fill in the dot. And the same thing goes for less than or equal to. 3 is less than 4, so we shade to the left. I think less than left. That should help you. Alright, so for our first examples, what inequality represents the sentence 5 fewer than the number is at least 12? Let's start with the easy part. 5 fewer than a number. So make your number x, and we have 5 fewer than, so it'll be minus 5. Then that has to be at least 12. So 12 is going to go over here, but think about it. If we put less than here, that means the left-hand side is going to be less than 12. We want at least, so it has to be greater than or equal to 12. So for the second one, what inequality represents the sentence, the quotient of a number and 3 is no more than 15? Hopefully you know that quotient means divide. So the quotient of a number and 3, so our number is x, and 3, we got 15 over here. Now we just have to decide what our inequality symbol is going to be. It is no more than 15, so that means this cannot be greater than 15. So it has to be less than, but can it be equal to? No more than 15? Well, 15 is no more than 15, so yes, it can be equal to. These are the same for properties of equations. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So I don't need to go over this. Just notice when you subtract the same thing, we're getting rid of addition. Same thing with all the other operations. Alright, so our first example. This is just like solving an equation. We just have the inequality symbol. So if you want, draw a line down that inequality. And we need to get x by itself. Notice how we have a number out front here. So we have to distribute to every term in our parentheses. So -3 times 2x is -6x. -3 times -5 is 15. And we have to add 1 because we're still on the left-hand side. And we still have 4 over here. Now, to solve this inequality, notice how we have like terms on the left-hand side, 15 and 1. They both don't have an x, so we can combine those together. So we have -6x plus 16. Just take the same operation. And we still have 4 on the right-hand side. Now, to get x by itself, you do the opposite of PEMDAS. So you always add or subtract first, then multiply and divide. So we're going to subtract 16 over, so we have -6x. We got rid of 16 by subtracting it over to this side, and 4 minus 16 is -12. And last but not least, x is being multiplied by negative 6. We need to divide by negative 6. And we get x on the left-hand side. And negative 12 divided by negative 6 is 2. The only thing different with inequalities is whenever you divide by negative numbers, so I'd write this down, star it, bold it, highlight it somewhere. When you divide by a negative number, you switch your sign. So this will now be less than or equal to 2. Alright, next we have to graph the solution. If you notice the other graphs, they had lots and lots of numbers. For me, all I need to do is have 3 numbers. The answer we got, 2, or whatever number we get, goes in the middle. Write a number that is greater than 2 on the right hand side, so 3. And the number that is less than on the left hand side, which would be 1 or any other number. Then you put a point on 2. We need to determine if it is filled in or left open. Since it has the equal to sign, we do fill it in. And since it is less than, we go to the left, or if you notice the arrow is pointing to the left, or know that 1 is less than 2, so we shade this way here. Alright, for the second one, you guys can handle this one. I know you can. I have confidence in you. Let's go ahead and pause this, solve it out, and come back for the answer. Alright, after you solve this out, you should get x less than or equal to, so less than sign, negative 8. Notice how the signs switch, because you should have been dividing by a negative 2. And to graph your inequality, your little line here, put your 3 hashes, negative 8 goes in the middle, a number greater than would be 0, a number less than would be negative 10, put your point on negative 8, we fill it in because it is equal to, and notice how arrow's pointing to the left, and negative 10 is less than negative 8, so shade to the left. Alright, the lovely word problems that you guys all like. A movie rental company offers 2 subscription plans. You can pay $36 a month and rent as many movies as desired, or you can pay $15 a month and pay $1.50 to rent each movie. How many movies must you rent in a month for the first plan to cost less than the second plan? So we first need to write our inequality. I'm going to look at our second option first, because that requires some variables. Since it's $1.50 to rent each movie, our variable is going to go with the cost of the movie, so 1.5x, plus you got to pay $15 a month for this plan, and then our second plan just costs $36 total. Now we have to determine what symbol goes in here, less than or greater than. We're trying to figure out how many movies you must rent in a month for the first plan to be less than the second plan. So this is our first plan, it has to be less than our second plan, so our inequality 1.5x plus 15 greater than 36. Solve this out, and you should get x greater than 14. So how many movies must you rent? You must rent at least 15. Alright, we have to determine if the inequalities, just like our equations, are sometimes, always, or never true. That means we need to solve them out. So we need to distribute through here. So we have negative 6x minus 2, and that has to be greater than negative 6x plus 7. Now if you notice, we have negative 6x on both sides, so if we eliminated those, we would have negative 2 greater than 7. Will negative 2 ever be greater than 7? Your answer is no, so this is never true. Go ahead and do this on the bottom, pause it, and come back. Alright, when you solve this out, you should have got 3x minus 15 is less than or equal to 3x plus 8. And again, notice how we have 3x on both sides, so we can cancel that. And we're left with negative 15 less than or equal to 8. Is that true? Is negative 15 less than 8? Yes, so our answer is always. Alright, this is your homework for tomorrow in class. Hopefully you took good notes and come to class prepared for some examples.